Welcome to Outback New South Wales. We've driven a long night last night and we've arrived at Brewarrina fish traps. Now these are some 40,000-year-old fish traps constructed by the local Aboriginals, and this marks the start of our little outback trip and also what is usually confirmed as the end of the Barwon River and the start of the Darling River. And the Darling is what we're going to be following for the next week or so. And there's the fish traps. We've just pulled up camp by the Darling River. I'm just going to go for a wander along the river. It's probably only 10 minutes before sunset. So I'm just going to go for a wander along and see if there's any nice scenes to capture. There's zero cloud cover, so it's going to be a very clear sunset, but absolutely magic spot, which I will show you now because it's fun when you're looking at my head. So straight away I've spotted this, what I'll tell you first. That's our camp just back there, and straight away I only walked 30 metres from camp and I've spotted this old dead log here, or dead tree log. I'm thinking that might make a nice little foreground bit of interest, and the sun's setting over behind me there, so I think I'm going to frame that up. I'm just walking down the very steep bank of the Darling River. I'm going to try and frame up a couple of images for what's hopefully, it's not going to be a stunning sunset, but just a nice little afternoon sunset scene. You can see in front of me there all these roots climbing up the bank here of what would have been this dead tree up here. So I think I'm going to sort of try and use that. And there's a bit of a golden glow off there in the distance. I've just perched up this nice little spot by the Darling River here. You can actually see yabby bubbles in the river there. And I've just got camera set up nice and low. There's a tiny little white flower in the foreground there, which I hope you can see. And just this root leading out there, as well as we've got the river coming in on an angle across there. So plenty of leading lines out to the image. And I've got that big section of dead tree just there behind me, and that's what I want to be my focal point for the image. I think it looks really cool hanging out over the river like that. We're only, it must be minutes before sunset now. I can't see the sun anymore, there's just a slight orange glow. So I'm just going to grab a couple of images of this and that'll probably do me, and then I'll head back to camp, have a couple of beers, and I've got the rod in the water already, and maybe throw the yabby trap in. But yeah, awesome little spot, love it. The sky behind me's pretty bland, so what I'm going to do is chuck on my polarizing filter, try and get a little bit more saturation in that sky. So I'm trying to chuck that on now. And slow the shutter down as well, which is an added bonus, which means I hopefully smooth this water out a bit more. So I've decided I'm going to focus stack for this image too, just to get that little flower nice and sharp. So I've got focus on one on the flower, one on my main subject, these roots out here, and then one on the far side of the bank over there. So I've just been sitting in the swag looking out over the Darling River about 10 minutes or so before sunrise. I've been watching the trees on the far side of the river start to get this orange glow on the tops of them. And that was enough for me to get out of bed and grab the camera and come for a wander and see what we can find. And I found this really nice old tree. And I hope you can see there's a little this bit of the sun just poking through some of the branches. So I'm trying to capture a sun star poking through the branches. So I've got the camera set at f16, ISO 64, and currently about 0.7 of a second. And I'm just doing a single focus on the tree, and hopefully we're getting, yeah, beautiful little sun star coming through the tree. Exactly what I was hoping for. Nada. Oh, yeah. Little freshwater prawns. Just sit up there, just a couple of little shrimp. So we've just been into Bourke and got a permit and made the run out to Mount Oxley. It's private property, so you do need a permit to get here. It's only $11 from the info centre in Bourke. But as you can see behind me, we've got pretty much 360-degree views all the way around. Back that way behind me now is towards Bourke, but back this way, it's probably so far away you can't see, but there is a mountain range out there, and that is Gundabooka National Park, which is where we're going to be heading later. So there's these two random peaks among just, I don't know how big the land is, but massive. Most of Western New South Wales dead flat. And then you got this Mount Oxley and the Gundabooka ranges out there just peeking up out of nowhere. That just, yeah, I don't know what they're made of. I don't think they're volcanic or anything. They don't look like that. But just, yeah, two mountain ranges poking up out of nowhere. And they stand out. I've got on the long lens, the telephoto, 300mm lens. I've got Mount Gundabooka out there in the background here, and I've got this nice little ridge line down here in sort of a foreground interest. So I'm shooting at around about 120mm, and I'm focus stacking one for this area down here and one way off in the distance to hopefully get everything out there a little bit better in focus. It's not going to be perfect because that is 30 kilometers away. So yeah, never ever going to be perfect, but it should be good enough. So yeah, 2 image focus stack. I'm shooting at around 200 or 1/200th of a second, sorry, to try and keep the trees still, because there is a little bit of breeze up here, and it's middle of the day, so not ideal, but should be still a very typical outback image, hopefully. Just pulled up at Bennett's Gorge car park in Gundabooka National Park, and it's maybe 20 minutes or so before sunset, and we're just gonna wander a couple hundred meters through this tree line and hopefully pop out, and we'll be looking at hopefully a carpet of wildflowers looking up to some really pretty cliffs on the Gundabooka range, being lit up by the orange glow of the setting sun. So I've just gone through the tree line, and the cliffs have appeared in front of us with this carpet of wildflowers down in the foreground, and as we hoped, the sun is lighting up the cliffs. So I'm gonna hopefully use some of these dead trees as a bit of a foreground interest and leading up to those cliffs. But it's a absolutely beautiful area. Very glad we made the effort. We're about an hour. We're camping at Louth tonight, so we're about an hour from camp. But far out, absolutely worth the effort. Stunning, stunning area. So that's first exposure in the bag. Got this dead tree as my foreground. A beautiful carpet of wildflowers and those cliffs in the background. I've just done a quick focus stack. One in the foreground, one in the midground, and one on the cliffs in the background. And I'll put that together later But yeah, really happy with this scene. It's really nice. Shame there's no clouds in the sky to give us some colour, but still just an absolute beautiful scene. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, there's the last rays of sun are coming through. So I'm gonna probably try and catch that little bit of sun as it hopefully hits this carpet of wildflowers, which it's doing right there in front of me. Yeah, I'm gonna grab that quickly. So I've got my ISO at 64, aperture at f13, and my shutter speed's currently at about 1/15 of a second. I will probably slow that down once the sun sets and those cliffs lose their light, and hopefully we get a bit of a purple haze or something over there. I've got it set at around 26mm at the moment, and I've got a landscape orientation composition set up. I might quickly try a portrait orientation because I think it might look really nice with the way this log's lying down, sort of leading out towards the mountains. So I might flip over to a portrait quickly and give that a go. Once I've done that and I've got those in the bag, I'll probably put on a soft graduated filter to try and even out the light, because I expect those cliffs to get quite bright and glow quite orange as that sun gets really low. So I'll do that next. So I've switched to portrait orientation, and I actually really like this composition with these sort of two branches leading into one and then leading out into the cliffs. I think it works really well as a portrait image, so I might stick with that for now. But yeah, as I said, I've widened it up a little bit too. I'm now at almost 16mm, and I will get out those soft graduated filter in a second to try and even out the light. But man, so happy, such a nice spot. You can walk to the top too if you're a super keen walker. I know that mountain probably looks a bit smaller than on screen than it does in life, but it's a pretty tall mountain. It'd be a hefty walk getting up there, and not something to do as the sun is setting. Might leave it for another day, I think. So I've got that soft edge graduated filter on there now, and it's allowed me to drop my shutter speed down to 1/3 of a second, and it really has evened the light out across the whole scene. I know you can do it in bracketing and all that, but I like to get it even to start with. And this scene, I'm really liking it, so I'm probably just going to hang out here and basically see what the colour does on that mountain. Hopefully it's already pretty lighting up pretty bright orange, but hopefully it continues to do so as the sun sets. But I think I'm just going to hang out here and enjoy the light show. How good. This whole range is pretty vast, so it's hard to capture it all in one image. So what I've just done is two different sets of images to create a pano, one vertical set and one horizontal set, and I'll put them both, stitch them both together in Lightroom, turn them into a pano image, and hopefully catch the whole range as a single, as a single finished image, and see how that looks. But I'll show you those now. Sunset, the glow off those cliffs is gone, so we're just gonna head back to the car now. It's only a 300-meter walk or so, and then about an hour drive back to camp. So I want to try and get a chunk of that done before all the wildlife comes out. We're probably too late for that anyway, but we'll just have to be careful. But I hope you can sort of see what's going on. Just blankets and blankets of wildflowers. Apparently it rained here about 5 weeks ago, and then again about 3 weeks ago. So that has just sent the wildflowers nuts, and it's so pretty.